Hello and welcome. It is the afternoon of the third day of April 2019. My name is Derek. All bets, trades, and of the like, within each his own risk and their own reward. Everyone is adults here, or if they are not, they are hopefully close or young enough or old enough where they're close to being adults and old enough where they can make responsible decisions, which is why when I say all bets, trades, and of the like, within each his own risk and their own reward, well, you're old enough to understand your own decisions. And within cryptocurrencies, what's great about this is you being in control of your own currencies. And anyone who wants to learn cryptocurrencies for me, I'm teaching you how to do it yourself. There's no other way about it. I can give you whatever recommendations, show you how I do it. But from that point on, there's not much more else to say. All right. The four-letter words that start in S and end with T may be used in this, and when I say may, they will be. Again, we're all adults, and used in proper context, they need to be used. Resistance at 4,100. Was there any? Oh, hell yeah, there was a lot. There was a few appearances over multiple days before Christmas. There was again after the first week of January. Again after the third week of February. And it just broke above this more recently. How about resistance at the 5,000 level? Do we see it in here? What I'm seeing is that the market got up to this level, it came back to it on the day, and it's just lifting off and now getting past yesterday's intraday highs. And the only thing that I stated for the reason why I didn't like the fact that there might be strong resistance here was because there wasn't strong support on the way down. That really is all there was to it. But when I look at this move, am I like surprised that it came up to here? No. Am I like, holy shit, this is so amazing? Not really, no. To see that this is resistance, I mean, I'm not that surprised. Now, in saying such, I understand in technical analysis, if you don't find support resistance where you're supposed to fast move to the next level, it looks like that's what is in store for it. And that we're moving to the next level. Now, if we don't find resistance here, would I be saying that I'm surprised? Not really. Do I expect there to be some? Heavily, yes, but when there's I mean, if you're flipping a card and a 7 is to come off on a 52 card deck and there's four of them, I mean, I'm not too surprised it was the 7, but it's still going to happen under 10% of the time. And I'm thinking that might be the case here. Solid resistance, and I think it's going to make a move here. We'll see what it does. I think is very high. Solid resistance meaning that it stops going up in that area for a significant period of time and thus would go sideways and or lower. But if there isn't, I'm going to be like, oh shit, this is extremely serious if we're not finding resistance here because the potential for where we go could just become super parabolic crazy if that's the case. And I'm not going to try to predict and say I know for sure that this is the case or not because I don't. But what I do know for sure is that 2 plus 3 equals 5. And as long as it still does that, and then the mathematical strategies I talk about for trading will always work the exact same. But if it doesn't, if there ever comes a day where 2 plus 3 does not equal 5, you can throw my whole strategy out the window. But I do like the chances that this thing just continues to accelerate towards the upside. When we look at this on the 4-hour, there was this fantastic move correcting over 3 periods on the sideways level after it came down in here. Still no test even close to what is now a very rapidly rising 18 period. And when you rise this fast, it's not only got to go to it, it's also got to pierce below it. Find a high, filling all this empty space, but it doesn't mean it needs to do it now. If anything, it's showing buy signals. But it's still gonna. I mean, this will just keep on expanding, and it's just going to be due for a correction whenever it decides to stop going up or when the buyers stop buying. Switching over to the single hour, we can see as it got above this significant Fibonacci, it had a very good break, piercing below previous high, and then one decent sized red candle where it corrected successfully for a good third to about a third of a day, or 6, 7, 8 hours. And then here we have this breakout at noon Eastern time. That would be in the time zone of Delaware, Maine. Although Maine should, some parts of Maine should be where this in the Atlantic time zone, but I don't. That's like unimportant to me. What is important, I see these three candles as it is doing, and as it's playing, it's just looking phenomenally awesome that this thing is ready to keep going. Next up is a Litecoin, and we'll look at the 5 minute because that's where I left off before. And its move happened at noon as well, breaking out above 86 to about 94, and well, continuing to go sideways. I thought I was a little crazy. I don't know when it was, and I know you. Some of you probably know better than me because I mean I remember saying for quite some time I think this thing's got the potential to go to 125. I don't remember. I mean, at 50, it had to. Yeah, definitely down in here. I gotta think when it was like $50 or something, or breaking it above here. And to me, it looks like as if that is going to be the case. And I guess there's that other reason why I figured, you know what, Bitcoin going to having resistance at 5,000 to me wasn't a solid one. That because I thought Litecoin was going to come up in this area here. And of course, I still do. This thing, when it goes up well. Let's put a different market up. Let's do the Poloniex one. Yeah, this Fibonacci is 126. I mean, it's just doing what it's supposed to. It's just fantastic. All right, so 63 was Fibonacci, and I mean, when it got up here, it just had a small move. It stayed within that level. What was the high on here? We had 61.85, 62 mid, so $1 lower. So it pierced a buck lower on this move. Pretty much an exact hit. And now as it's breaking this level, it's doing so with great velocity. It's pretty much halfway there. Maybe 61.8% ish. Approximately on the way there. Which means that I fully expect as we move forward for this to continue having some interesting gains. And when this thing is ready to go, I mean, does this ever go? When I sell this for dollars, that means I'm pretty much selling it for gold, silver, groceries, gasoline, takeout, that kind of stuff. I'm not going to be looking to sell Litecoin for dollars and buying it back at a lower price. I don't really have any more want to do it. If I'm just trying to increase my portfolio on pullbacks, well, then I'll do that like against Bitcoin. And I've been selling a lot of Litecoin today, or at least I've just been making quite a few transfers out of my up the Trezor wallet into exchanges. I mean, these prices are rising like this. What other choices do I have? And as I was saying back at the start of the year, really, what happens on Litecoin every single time that it gets above the 18 average of lows, of highs rather, from being underneath this in a bear market. So there was a bear market, it gets above, it just has a phenomenal move. Has a little attempt in here, but obviously that one didn't work out, and a big, big, big down move. But within the strategies that I talk about, these should be welcomed into buy signals. And when it's nothing but every single week being down, and there's really just buy, 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 buy over like really the last like for 5, 6 consecutive months up until the end of February of 2017. So I was looking at this coin back then. Yeah, this is a true shit coin to me. As I was looking at it, I mean, I was looking at it like this. And maybe if some, I mean, it's down a lot. It could go up and have a move. I didn't know really. All I knew was about this coin was that it was an old school one. It was popular. I remember people talking about, oh, this Litecoin. It's like, really? And this is like 2011 or 12 or whatever, way back when in the day. It was, oh, there's more than just Bitcoin there. Okay, so it gets above the 18 average of highs in here, and the move is phenomenal. And it's doing it again. It's already a good move as it is. Just good because it's a noticeable but very good lower high from its previous one, a retest of its previous point. But I do think it's going to be at least coming up to this point in here. But as it goes, I've already sold Litecoin for Bitcoin. That Bitcoin is in my Trezor wallet now. I sold it for that of DGB, and it's in my hardware wallet there as well. But I also sold it for Komodo. I tried a little bit to get that into some sort of online or different wallet. I really have to be confident in how I do it. I got NLC2 on an online wallet. It's worked out well for me. But when it comes down to it, I'm just calculating the numbers right now in my head for how much I got actively on exchanges. That number would be about. Just trying to do it. Some quick numbers in my. Okay, add that number, which would be that, and that would be about 9%. 10% is on the exchange, and the other 90% is in my Trezor or NLC2 software wallet or online wallet. And when Cryptopia gets back in business, and like, holy shit, this has been a very long process. But if I get my funds back, at least a portion of it, I've already lost with what they have on the CLM, Cryptopia Loss Maker, because they're giving you New Zealand dollars for what the price was on January 14th. And that, when you take the Litecoin in consideration, that's a pretty decent sized haircut that I know I've already paid. And am I happy about that? No. But when I have the available, I should say if too, but if and when I have the availability to take funds off that wallet, that's exactly what I'm doing. One by one, and they have 1,000 of them approximately. They're taking a few coins here and there, so maybe 7 or 8 at a time. They'll just stick it. They'll say the wallets. They've put them into new wallets or something of that nature, and they'll allow it to be traded, but you can't bring funds in or out. And most people, of course, are concerned about taking funds out of that wallet. Of course, it's been a lesson that, you know what, there are so many different ways you can trade on these markets, and then not need to have them on there. And the perfect example again with that is a DGB. And I'll put that up on the screen now. And when I'm able to, they're like a store, like a Poloniex or a Bittrex or anything like that. But trading these two together, I'm going to do that on Poloniex, not only because the rake is slower, but because it's 0.001 to take Litecoin off the exchange, where it's 0.01 on Bittrex. And that's pretty expensive, even more so now that it's about $100, as that makes it about $1 on Bittrex to withdraw, and 10 cents on Poloniex. I like that 10-cent number a lot better. And for Digibyte, I don't care either way. It's 0.1 on Poloniex, 0.2 on Bittrex. You need several of them to reach a penny. How much? How many Satoshis is 1 penny? Well, let's take a look. TUSD is no longer traded on Binance, I noticed. It's down to 19,003. So 194 Satoshi, 193 Satoshi works out to that of 1 cent. Which makes this better than a 1.5 cent coin. I bought it pretty much all at 300. But what was extremely interesting was I ended up buying some what's this, a 5 minute time frame? It might have been in here at 10:25. I'm gonna think it was 10:25 and then again at like 10:40. But when I bought it here, I was able to buy my whole order at 300. But then when I did another one, I'm like, oh goodness, that's a pretty okay size. And I have more BTC than what was available at 300. But 85% of my order, 90% of it was priced in at the 300 cost, with the rest being at 301. So I'm like, I'm just going to take it to 301. I mean, most of it is at 300. And then, of course, it started to go higher. But the very interesting thing was I sold Litecoin a little bit higher the first time too, but just barely. Litecoin was both sold at a different price. And because I bought 100% of my bet last time at 300 and about 80 something percent at 300 and like over under 20% at 301, it was the exact same price, rounded to two decimals on my trade. I traded the ratio at 5,773.37. I seen that. My spreadsheet calculated that. I'm like, are you serious? But I made two sells. One was a short-term order, one was a long-term order, which meant that one was 3 times larger of a trade. The last one that was 3 times larger of the trade than the short-term one. Short-term one, and I did a video on it the last time in the bonus video, so I'm not going to explain it anymore. You can watch it there. Let's switch it over to Ravencoin. Another one I don't have access to on Cryptopia, but one that I hold. When you're in situations like this, if you happen to be crossing this with a coin like Litecoin or any of the ones going up today, this is just amazing news for you. When you have, because it's already had its amazing gains, that is just pulling back because of sheer profit that it's up right now. I mean, I don't know anything fundamentally on it, but that's just normal to have happen. And that's one of the reasons I like to trade two coins together, so situations like this can occur, where it has its own rally at its own times, and because of a situation like this where it's already so overbought, that it goes down when the other coins go up, and it makes it so fun. So if you're trading like Litecoin with this today, the ratio is even more skewed, and that's just so fantastic at trying to create volatility. Okay, let's move on to the request part of the show. If you want a coin to be shown, let me know in the comments section. I'll do one per day. I'll go over one really quickly. I'm always usually going to be looking for the more long term. I'm not going to be looking, the short term, unless something's going on, but it looks like something is here. As I liken this, and I'm just going to draw a line in here, and where you go, I mean, just the pattern of this, how it's this uptrend, and then when you connect the resistance, you don't need a straight line. But the bottom line is, it's getting above this point. It's doing so on a decent sized move that each of these highs have been higher. This thing has the potential for a decent sized gain, but we know that this has been in a downtrend. We're going to want to see more data on the weekly, and the weekly explains a lot. The volatility is big when you see situations where it moved from 7,500 Satoshi up to about a million. That's a pretty big volatile move. A million down to 200,000. Back up to, well, 1.5 million. Now it went down to 170. Now it's at a little over 250,000 Satoshi. As far as its pattern, though, there's the downturn, and during the decline, and when you look at, since it's been down, it didn't do much action inside of it. And among the reversal, this market was going up. It established this level of support below the 18, comes up to the highs, shows weakness amongst the 18 lows here, breaks down below established support, and then the rest is history. It barely even gets in it. Oh, it has a little spot here, a little spot in here. It does nothing to really end the trend until we can see it in here. Now the band has went flat. And originally it was showing movement within the band. Now over the last several weeks, above the band. And I love how we are seeing just how each candle looks. I guess this might be the art of technical analysis. Although to me, computers should be able to figure this out too when you program them correctly. But I see it leaving this 18. The 18's rising at a nice little pace. It's microscopically gotten above this resistance, thus it's not a clear break as of yet. Seeing this thing in the area of about 283, that to me would be where it's a noticeable clear break. And this thing is, well, it's doing. Uh, Whether you want to call it this established resistance, that's definitely subjective to say the least. But getting above this, you have opportunities for decent sized moves going forward. And as stated on the intro, this is most certainly a volatile coin. Let's now move on to the top gainers and losers. And the top gainer, Bitcoin Cash. It's going to be very rare, and this is one of those days where a high cap top 15 coin can make it. It did, up 59.98% for the day against the price of Bitcoin. So almost certainly a clear break above this on the weekly, most certainly establishing a level of resistance. No Fibonacci's been calculated. Whether we're in an area for that or not, I'm not going to check. But I do know that it has entered the area I'd expect it to at least go to, and that's where it came from last I can see here. And that was, of course, the September support, October support, as we stand now. Whether we're going to find resistance, it's all going to be up for time. This thing will just keep going up. I mean, it could go up to the 15 handle. But when your buyers are in control like this, then it's just 33%. It says it's up here for the day. But for the past 24 hours, it's the biggest gainer on both Bittrex and Binance. So it's the winner. For that, I'm going to do that every single day. The top gainer, top loser. As long as it's got good enough volume. And it's been around for enough time. I mean, I'm not going to do anything that just came out the last couple of days as a top winner or loser. But just like Litecoin, ever since this has been taken off, it has just not stopped. It's got a bigger percentage move than it, so it's the winner over the two. Litecoin is down against Bitcoin Cash right now, as is every other coin on the market as well. But a phenomenal move to say the least, and until it's not, it's most certainly in a live, enthusiastic, major parabolic up move. And the top loser was yesterday's top winner, Vericoin, VRC. Down for the day about 29.53%. Down over 65% in the last, what time was, in the last 28 hours. It's down 2/3 of its value. And in the last, we'll call it less than 2 days, day and a half. Well, it was at 24. Now it's at 32. That's a differential of 8 more. It's up 33%. So it's down 67% since then. It's up 33% from this point. How do you do? Thank you for tuning in. And have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.